Welcome to Patch Dispatch. I am Corey Luna with Richard Hogben. It is December 11th, and we've been away a little while. We had our 5-year anniversary party about 2 months ago back at Mission Synth. That went fantastic. If you weren't there, you can watch all the performances and interviews on our website. And if you can go to peak.fm, check out everything that we've been doing. Been pretty awesome. We're going to go through a couple new interesting pieces of gear, check out some new music recently released, some events, and some new content that you need to check out. So starting off is the Smorgasbord, or Shmøergh, which is called Hog by Shmøergh. Now, this is a DIY synth. It's a two-oscillator synthesizer. Now, the kits you see here are actually prototypes that the company put together themselves. They made a few limited editions for themselves and friends, but they're not actually selling this. This is something that you can go to their website and get all the specs and print it and make it yourself. It's basically you're just getting all the parts you need sourced by yourself. It's a whole fun project that if you want to spend a lot of time building a synth, which a lot of us do, this one I think would be a really fun one. There's some great examples on their website, on their YouTube channel, on how it sounds. I think it's really cool. And Rich, this is something that you had texted me a couple of weeks ago, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah. Did I send this to you?
Yeah.
Really?
And then, you sent me a link on, I think you just sent me something on, it was, you sent me an Instagram real quick going like, hey, this looks, okay. But you didn't say anything. You just sent it out. And then I kind of deep dived and found out more, went to their website and hunted them down and contacted them. And it took a little while for them to get back to me, but they did. And they were super nice. And eventually we're going to have them on an interview for North Beats podcast, maybe in 2025.
Yeah, it probably just caught my attention because they did a really good job on the enclosure, right? The design looks really cool. And I understand these are one-offs, but it sounds like the DIY part is still in progress. Like you can't even get a parts list right now yet, right?
No.
But that might be something that they put out there. For people that like to really build, full analog synths, it looks like a cool one. I'd be really interested to see how that interview goes. Kind of a little more into what their, why they did this and the process, maybe, how it came to be and their design philosophy. I don't know, maybe what inspired them, kind of stuff. That'd be really cool to find out.
Yeah, these are questions I'm definitely going to be asking them. And when I reached out to them, they said, we might have more questions for you than vice versa. But I think it's going to be pretty interesting to get into the history of how they got together and came up with this concept for Shmøergh. So this is a 2-voice monophonic analog synthesizer design for DIY. So this is going to be a fun project for everybody who loves doing DIY synths. And our next piece of gear, which I'm sure all of us have already heard about, is XY by Teenage Engineering. Now, this is a huge upgrade from the OP1. Basically, you can really do anything. The price range is astronomical compared to what the previous editions. Even the field wasn't that high, but there's a lot more to the XY compared to what they were doing with OP1 and field from Teenage Engineering. Of course, the design is gorgeous. It's this beautiful black enclosure with a gradient of dark gray to white keys. Looks gorgeous. The screen on the LED on it or LCD on it. I'm not sure. It looks amazing. Looks fantastic. There's some really great examples on the Teenage Engineering website by, I'm not sure if it's actually a band, but it looks like, whoever they are, definitely are fans of DAF, which those of you who don't know is Deutsche Amerikanische Freundschaft. They're basically doing their own version of DAF using, looks like maybe 32 XYs, which is absurd, but it sounds amazing. Now, have you had a chance to check it out yet, Rich?
Yeah, because my wife has one. She started making music with the OPZ and eventually was using two of them, which seems more common now. I see a lot of people using like two of a Groovebox kind of setup. When you're performing live, sometimes that's easier to double the number of tracks you have, but also be able to mix between like two different, setups. But yeah, so she, OPZ was like her thing, and we've tried other stuff, and she always came back to it. So when this thing was announced, it was like, she's like, yeah, I have to get it. I mean, if it's, at that point, at the price, I don't know what you're going to do. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
She said, I mean, she's already making tracks on it. So it's I think, especially if you got the OPZ, it's pretty easily to translate over to the OPXY. I wouldn't say it's something that's like a step up from the OP1 field because it's different. This one is really based around sequencing. And the OP1 field is really based around a tape recording workflow. Like an actual 4-track tape. Yeah, it does look amazing. I mean, it should for $2,300. So,
well, I'm looking forward to hearing some new tracks from Shababa in 2025 with using the XY.
Yeah, for sure.
So, very exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing what other artists come up with using the XY as well. I'm sure there's many other people who are going to be using it in an upcoming year. Now on to some music releases recently put out over the past couple months. We've got an album release. This is the premiere album from my friend Aton Leon. This is an album that I helped them out with a little bit with just doing some concept work on just layout for him. Though the cover art is a painting he did by himself. I just did some back end sort of stuff on for design. But all the music on it is him. It's all original. He's been holding out on us for a long time. The premiere album is called Impermanence. It's very melodic and beautiful. And now that he's got it out, I'm really looking forward to him actually getting another one out really soon, because he and I have been talking, and this is something he said it's been on his mind for a long time, been trying to get it out, and he wants to move on and try some new things with modular synthesizers. He's got I know his setup. I am really excited to hear more about what's coming out, because I love everything about this album. Track number 2, I think was the one that really resonated with me on there. If we can have a little listen to that one.
Nice.
When he was working on this originally, this is before he moved out of state, and I'd actually gone up to his place when he was in Santa Rosa and did some photography for him. So the profile picture on his Bandcamp page is one of my shots. As you can hear, very melodic, beautiful. He really has a good control and understanding of his modules. And again, like he's doing all like Eurorack modules on this album.
What were you saying about trying something new that's on the upcoming one?
So he and I were texting a little while ago once he released Impermanence, and he was basically telling me that he's been trying to work on getting this album out so that he can move on to new music.
Got it.
So where he's going to go with that, I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
And there's another wonderful album that was put out by another friend of ours, Entropy Worship, who some of you may know as Brian, one of the owners of Mission Synths. So this is his solo work, and he's been making music for well over a decade now. Now this is much more I would say IDM, industrial dance music. More higher tempo, probably. I don't know. It could be. I'm not sure exactly, but possibly 180. I would say maybe at some points. Again, more dancey, more upbeat, but also dark at the same time. Really fun stuff. I do have an LP of his from a couple of years back, so I'm really happy that he's finally gotten some new music out. I know he's been playing a couple of shows over the past couple of years, but I think it's been a while since he's actually put out a full album. So if you really like a little bit more grit to your electronic music, check out Entropy Worship. This is his album, Second Law.
Mm-hmm.
And let's check out track number 3.
Okay. Here we go. Cool. So this is his second album, or?
Well, this is on a label.
Got it.
This is Aerotrek Recordings.
Yeah.
So this is a different label. I don't know how many albums he's put out in total as an artist under Entropy Worship.
Okay.
But I do have a previous album of his, which is probably a little less four to the floor style, because this is very techno. He's very strong. His previous work that I have listened to is, again, very industrial, but is a bit more older style industrial, like late 80s industrial, like kind of almost like a little bit more like Skinny Puppy style. This is much more upbeat, more contemporary style for him. Again, that was it Dissipation Flux? That was track number 3 we were just listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very strong, very good stuff. So check it out. And I believe his partner, Betsy, also had a hand in helping him out with the album. Full details, I don't know how much, maybe artwork, not entirely sure. Something I should ask them about sometime soon. Again, check out that album by Entropy Worship, Second Law. Very cool stuff. Now on to some fun events coming up. We've got The Sound of Logic featuring the Clangorium. Now, this is something that, Rich, you have put a lot of work into. These are some awesome DIY kits coming from, I believe, a developer out of Germany that you have worked with previously for work. And now we're going to be bringing them into the hands of builders in LA. This is going to be an event happening on, was it December 18th?
19th.
December 19th. Thank you. On a Sunday. Is that right?
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a weekday.
Okay. December 19th, Thursday. What's the times?
6 to 9. So if you can get off work at 5, you can make it there probably by 6.
So if you go to our website, peak.fm, you can sign up today to be part of this. Get a DIY kit. There's a small price to pay. I think it's just for how much the materials cost, probably. And then you get.
Well, there is a sponsor, DigiKey. Thank you, DigiKey. That is covering most of the cost. So we're asking for $10, which was like originally we were going to buy part of the bill of materials, the components we were going to solder during the workshop. So you can solder part of the board because it's sort of modular. You can build parts of it and still do something with it. So to save some money, and also you can't do the whole board in one sitting unless you're really good. We were going to order part of the materials. So that cost was covered by the sponsor. The difference between that and the full cost was about $10. And I was like, why don't we just get everything? Because then the people that show up get the full kit and they don't have to go and then source the rest of the parts and all that stuff. So that's why there's $10. Originally, we were like, oh, there's a sponsor, it's going to be free. But I think also, it's very limited. I think there's only like 20 spots. There's not that much room for everyone to set up and solder anyways. We couldn't have like 50 people soldering. It's too much. So yeah, you got to get to the event. If you're local and you want to do it, get to the Eventbrite and get on there quick. I think there's 2 sets of tickets. There's a free admission if you want to come. I'm going to do a talk in the beginning, just introduce everything, a little bit about the components and like what's going on this board. And there'll be some snacks. You'll be able to hang out. We have a performance by Eli from Mystic Circuits, who he also might bring some stuff to play with or solder for people that don't have the other thing. But yeah, so then there's also the workshop tickets. So get one or the other. If you want to solder, get the workshop tickets. If not, get the free one and come by anyways. It'll be fun. Yeah. So the person who made it, just real quick, Elliot, who is the editor at Hackaday.com, he got into this logic noise synth building. Part of the draw to it is that the parts are very inexpensive. If you were going to do like a full-on analog synthesizer with some quality behind it, it starts to get expensive. So this is an interesting way to go about it, using these sort of digital logic chips to basically make square wave oscillators and then, turn it into sequencers and a kick drum. There's a section on the board that is set up kind of the way that I think part of the 808, I think the hat, like that noisy metallic sounding, the way they did that, same thing. So there's interesting stuff on there. Yeah, it'll be fun.
And unfortunately, I'm going to miss the event. I can't make it in the short time frame that it's been announced. So hopefully, if we do another one, hopefully I'll be able to make the next one.
Yeah, and I mean, again, part of the reason we're doing this is to build up some content. And like I was saying, I think what we can do is, we can get on like this, and you can have a kit and I can have a kit, and we can put it together, and that can be a video. We can make one where we're just like patching it up and seeing what kind of sounds you can get out of it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this first workshop is just to kind of get things going, but it's by no means like this, we do it and then that's the end. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
kind of.
Well, this is something we've been talking.
Yeah,
this is an event we've been talking about developing for many months now. If not, maybe we talked about this late last year. I'm not sure anymore. It's been a while since we've been talking about it, and it did take a while for it to really come together. I'm excited and proud of you, Rich, for putting it together. I'm really looking forward to seeing the results and seeing some video footage and photos afterwards.
Yeah, and I got a nice interview with Elliot, talking about just the board and why and the history, and he wrote a bunch of articles for Hackaday.com. It's probably been 10 years ago now. There's a bunch of YouTube videos of him patching with these circuits. So we'll have that online too. So yeah, for anybody that obviously you can't, not everyone lives in LA. There's going to be other stuff. So I'm hoping, again, if you're interested, you'll be able to order your own board, get your own parts from DigiKey, and yeah, make your own, and go through the documentation we put up and figure out how to use it and post some of your own content.
Very looking forward to it. And if you want to learn a little bit more about it, to get more interested in, maybe if you haven't decided on buying that ticket yet, go to our website, peak.fm, and watch the little video that Rich, you put together real quick. It's like a minute long, of just kind of introducing this, what you're going to be building.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's cool. Check it out. Now, also coming up in January, NAMM. We all know about NAMM, so go to NAMM. That's coming up. You have I suppose you have the dates there. There it is. Look at that.
21st to the 25th.
Very good. So that's always a big event. We all know someone's going to be there that we know. Even if we can't make it, I'm sure there'll be some great highlights. It always is. And then there's another event coming up I believe in January, Buchla and Friends, which I'm really excited about. I think I'll be making it out to that one. And that's going to be, I'm looking forward to that. As I love Buchla, and Friends are always good too.
Yeah. And this is the same weekend-ish, Saturday and Sunday.
January 25th. Yeah. So if you can't make NAMM, come to Buchla and Friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, NAMM is the wall of sound inside of a building. It's loud, right? I mean,
yeah,
there's guitars and stuff. So,
oh yeah, it's everything.
It's on everything all at once. Yeah. I think Buchla Friends is a little more like a mini. Well, it's definitely more like synth, right,
based, yeah.
So.
Yeah. There'll be more headphone stations.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be there for that one.
Yeah. I think it would. I think I didn't actually go last time. But I know everybody that did, I think, enjoyed it. And a lot of people were there. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to going to that one. And then we've got some new content on Peak.fm. We've got a new episode launched on North Beats podcast, coming back around with Audio Terrorist. If you listen to my interview with Caleb Duarte talking about his 40th anniversary album coming up, you can now listen to a group interview. This is one of two interviews because of talking with not just Caleb, but the people he's worked with over the years who have been involved in various aspects of producing and being musicians on Audio Terrorist or remixing. So this gets more deep dive into the conversations about production, on creating tracks and albums and getting it all together. This is a really fun thing that we did, and Caleb was the person who really came up with the idea of, after he and I had talked, he said, how about I bring some of get some of the crew together and we'll do a group interview and talk to everybody. And I couldn't say no. It was really fun. I got to meet some great people that, of course, I'd never met before. Some of them are here in the Bay Area, some are not. And it was a really fun time. Got to talk to some mastering engineers, other mixers and producers, other musicians. It was a lot of fun. So check out the Audio Terrorist Group 1 interview, and then later in maybe later this month or possibly January, we'll be releasing the Audio Terrorist Group 2 interview. So that was really fun. And also, Seismic Audio Podcast has a new track from Malarki. Now, again, Malarki is a friend of ours. He came to every single Peaked live event we've ever done, and he's been producing music for years now. This is an exclusive track that he's made for us. If you've heard Malarki, you know that style, that industrial melodic ambient style he does, which is very unique. And he's been using the Waldorf Iridium synthesizer for some time now, and it's all over this. It's really good. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I had just seen him actually last weekend at a holiday party, and he said that get it out because he's going to be pivoting his sound pretty soon on on how he's going to be releasing tracks and putting out some new stuff after this. So go check out Malarki on Seismic Audio Podcast and then go over to North Beats Podcast and listen to the interview with Caleb Duarte and the group interview.
Did you want to give a little sample
of Seismic Audio or North Beats?
Seismic Audio. Yeah.
Let's go to Seismic Audio. Oh yeah.
Should I start from the beginning?
Yeah, start from the beginning.
Okay, I'll just play like a first minute or so. Here we go. It's definitely, it evolves through 23 minutes?
Yeah.
Definitely a good one.
Yeah, it gets bigger. You can hear that panning he does, but over that in the beginning of that. And oh my God, it's deep and rich. He's such a good producer of his own music, of his own sound. It's really phenomenal to hear his tracks. And if you've ever seen him live, you know how intense those performances are. You know, Yes. Go over to Seismic Audio Podcast, listen to Malarki, North Beats Podcast, go listen to Audio Terrace group interview. And hopefully we'll catch you, a bunch of you, next year in January at probably Buchla and Friends.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we'll see a bunch of people coming up to the Clangorium. That's Sound of Logic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, hopefully a bunch of you can make it out there. So, Rich, thanks again. This has been Rich and Corey talking to you from Patch Dispatch. Check us out more at peak.fm, and we'll see you in January. Bye.